to the Geeking Poetic podcast channel.
On this channel, we have shows and segments that contain adult humor,
bad language, dirty jokes,
and other stuff that is strictly for mature audiences only.
So if you're too young or too sensitive for this kind of material, then please do not watch our channel or our videos.
This channel is not for you.
Thanks much.
And now, on with the show! About to fall over.
And what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Geeking Poetic Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Larry Roberts. Stripey down the way from me over there is none other than
Vito.
And then this feisty little one over here, like EV99 would say, is none other than
Megan Guess.
And we are here to talk about the fourth installment of it's fourth already.
Yeah, man.
Wow. Of season 2 of
The Mandalorian.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, chapter 12, right? Yeah,
so.
chapter 12, The Siege. It's all super metal.
Yeah.
The Siege. And, man, like, let's just not even beat around the old Mandalorian bush with this one. What did you think of it, guys? Vito?
3 words. Cutest episode ever.
Oh, okay.
Cutest,
I
huh?
did not see that coming.
I didn't.
I don't think I've ever heard Vito say cutest.
Yeah.
Well, I finally saw episode 12 of The Mandalorian season 2.
It's called for it, huh?
Yeah.
But now is that, okay, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
To me, it's a very good thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think the cuteness of it wasn't like, ugh. You know what I mean? It didn't make me like want to vomit like the child
Right,
did
yeah.
later in the episode. But yeah, I thought it was like a good amount of cuteness, and then we got to like
The badass shit.
shit, which there was a lot of it in there. What about you?
I loved this episode.
Yeah.
I was like on the edge of my seat, about to pass out from tense moments. It was amazing.
You were gonna throw up like the child.
I was
did
going to
as
throw up
well.
from, yeah.
Barfing up.
I was like, oh, how are they going to sorry? I don't know. I don't even know what's happening.
Barfing up green
Oh my
cookies.
God, I can't even talk. Yeah. It was tense.
Yeah, it was really good. A true confessions time here. The first time I watched it, I was like, it's okay. Like it was not that it was bad, but I was just like, like it wasn't my favorite episode by any stretch. I still think that the last one was my favorite overall. But this one definitely did push the story along majorly now.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We got some kind of sort of answers, possibly. Do you
Maybe
guys have theories about
possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
About what we
Yeah.
saw? Okay, I can't wait to get into that. But it definitely pushed the story along. And welcome return of awesome characters who I think are even more awesome now. Like, I liked Greef Karga in the first season. I really liked Cara Dune in the first season. I really like what they're doing with them now.
Mm-hmm.
I like the idea of Greef Karga being, now he's kind of like he's like a Lando. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
He's sort of like, the administrator of this facility, like Lando and Bespin. I love the idea of Cara Dune being the marshal.
Yeah.
This is all, like, they really doubled down on season 2 with the whole, like, we're going to make this a space Western.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
know.
for sure. No, I liked how they softened her up and made her more badass at the same time.
Right.
If that makes
Yeah,
any
for
sense at
sure.
all.
Right. Yeah, I love the fact that right off the bat, it starts out with her just
Kicking ass.
kicking Walrus Man ass. Those goddamn Walrus Men. Those guys are just trouble. They're just always trouble. You've seen so little of them in the Star Wars movie universe, but every time you do, you're like, these assholes.
They're like the Ferengi of the fucking Star Wars.
Seriously.
They really kind of are. Yeah. It's like they never learn. You're going to get more arms chopped
Right.
off. Stupid assholes. But yeah, it was really cool. I do like this episode more after I watched it
Okay,
a
good.
second time.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it when you said that to me. I was going to come through the phone. I was like, are you fucking kidding me?
As soon as they were doing that, now put the blue wire where the red wire. Dude, I was like, this is the fucking greatest thing ever I've seen on this show so far, man.
You know what's funny about that, Vito? That was very Baby Groot.
Okay, yeah, I can see
Oh,
that.
it sure was.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Okay.
That was very Guardians of the Galaxy, the second movie. Yeah, when he's with that bomb. Yeah, I mean, this episode, before we even delve into it too much, I want to acknowledge the fact that this episode, and just like we've talked about in the previous ones, it pays a lot of homage to other things, like you pointed out to me.
Yeah, we should warn you about spoilers. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
That's true. Yeah, before we start getting into some of these details, if you didn't read the title, which if you didn't, what the hell's wrong with you? But there's just tons of spoilers in this. We're going to talk about past things that happened in this episode, things that we heard or think are going to come. So if you don't like that stuff, just turn it off. Turn it off and come back. And you're back. Okay. So anyway, you had pointed out that there was some really cool homages going on.
Yeah, I kept seeing Indiana Jones all over this one. Like whenever after she kicked Walrus' ass and everything, and one more stood up, she just shot it like in Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Like that's so cool. I love it.
Yeah, and the whole idea of like these, I need to take these back to their rightful owners. Kind of thing. It's like she should have been like, these belong in a museum.
I loved it. And then of course the whole canyon scene with the lava and everything. And
Yes.
she basically driving the fucking tank and slams that one.
Yeah, that was great.
Into
That
the
was
canyon wall.
amazing.
Yeah, there was a lot of Last Crusade
Absolutely.
in this episode, which is great.
And he's
because,
in the gun turret and stuff like that. Just
right.
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 11 o'clock, fire.
Yeah, exactly. They end up going back to the planet that it all kind of started on and everything, where Grief Karga has now sort of helped to renovate the area and stuff. It's not all shady and overrun with remnant stormtroopers and stuff. It's like even the one place now they've turned it into a classroom, which was pretty funny. The idea of bringing baby Yoda, the child, bringing him to a classroom. That was just funny enough.
Yeah.
Just seeing him sit at that desk, I was cracking up. I was like, oh God, where is this gonna go? But they end up dropping off the child at this classroom. Obviously, Mando desperately needs work done on the Razor Crest.
Yeah.
So some human-looking guy and some person that looks like a really sore nipple ends up with goggles, ends up working on the Razor Crest. Well, come on, am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong.
That motherfucker had a fucking nipple head, man. If I ever saw one, again, not to give anything away, but I mean, as soon as that person turned around,
Like, oh, fuck you.
you were like, yeah. I was like, oh, this person's no good. What are they gonna do? They're gonna plant a bomb in there or something like that. And anyway, while they're working on the Razor Crest, they decide to drop the child off at school, which even that, I was just kind of like, man, I know that Kara said, she was like, oh, I swear on my life the child will be okay here.
Yeah.
And I'm just sort of like, well, how the fuck do you know that? I mean, so many things could happen, and he really shouldn't be leaving that child at any point.
I mean, they could have tracked the Razor Crest there with him, and they could have just waited for the perfect time to blow everybody else up in the school and take them with them.
Right. At the same time, though, jumping ahead a little bit, but one of the interesting reveals in this episode is the fact that Mando reveals that he did not realize that Moff Gideon was still alive.
Yeah.
So I think there was a little bit of that, too. I think there was a little bit of him.
He could let his guard down a little bit.
Yeah, mistakenly letting his guard down a little bit because he was like, well, everybody, I trust these people here. I think we're good now. We drove out all the bad people. Yeah, exactly. I don't think he realizes exactly how much his ass is still being hunted for that child and everything. So anyway, he leaves the kid there. They go and have a talk, and then we find Mithril again, who was in the very, very first episode of the Mandalorian, that asshole, played by Horatio Sands,
Yeah.
who's great. I love Horatio Sands.
He
you know.
cracked me up.
Yeah, he's awesome. He had
So
that-
many good scenes with him in this episode.
So
man.
many.
Yeah,
Definitely added to the cuteness
Yeah,
factor.
absolutely. And just the slapstick comedy, that's great.
yeah. He had that whole kind of like a Lou Costello kind of like
Yeah.
Abbott and Costello kind of factor. Curly or something like that. Yeah, even just when Mando walks in and he like he
Yeah,
spoots
dude.
out that he basically neck farts.
Yeah,
That was
I still can't see on my left eye.
yeah. Yeah, that was great. So find out that guy now has been released from Carbonite and he's working for Grief Karga
For like the rest of his life or something, right?
and beyond.
beyond,
Yeah.
50 years, yeah.
Yeah, he's working for him to pay off debts that got him captured by Mando in the first place. And we come to find out that there's this one last bastion of an Imperial base kind of thing that's over on another side of the planet, and they ask Mando to help them just like get rid of it. Like, we just want to get every trace of this Imperial presence off this planet so that we can carry on now, because we're on the outer rim. People should, in theory, be leaving us alone. So Mando kind of reluctantly goes and does that while the child is in class. And what does the child learn? He learns that he can force steal cookies from another student.
I'd be down for that.
This looked like some like mint chocolate chip cookies or something. too.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
something
Pretty
like
good.
that. Well, they, blue milk,
Yeah.
Star Wars with their blue milk stuff. So there's some kind of milk cookies,
Yeah.
milk chocolate.
Macaroons or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, so not exactly the best lesson for the child to learn, because what do we know about the child so far? Like,
He loves stealing food.
that's it. Live food, dead food, people's babies.
Snacky snacks.
Yeah, kids' snacky snacks. He just steals food from everybody. Anyway, well, so whatever. At least he's mostly safe and everything. They end up going out to across the dunes and stuff, and they find this base. And in Mithril's land speeder, they get there. They're trying to figure out how to get in. It takes like 5 seconds for Mando to realize, like,
Like, hold on.
Yeah.
Stay put.
yeah. He's like, there's something more going on here. This is not abandoned. And sure shit, that place is far from abandoned. They start basically blasting their way in because they want to get to the control center so that they can basically have the lava and everything
Take
over and burn the place to a crisp.
Mhm.
I also love the little throwback thing with that control center they make Mithril go out on. That's straight up Death Star from A New Hope.
There's one line he said that cracked me up. He goes, there's no guardrail on this thing. Dude,
Yeah.
I was laughing so much that I didn't hear what they said for the next like 2 minutes because I couldn't stop laughing. Just the way he said it and his delivery was just perfect.
Yeah.
Well, and it's great that he did that, because that's always
It's like running joke.
that's always been a running joke. Yeah, because when people are like, why wasn't there a guardrail on that thing when Obi-Wan had to go out on that? Like, who designed this fucking Death Star? Like, they're taking the name of that place real literally. Like, you want to go and turn the, have to. You imagine being a maintenance man on the Death Star. It's like, oh, yeah, we're having problems with that tractor beam. It's like, motherfucker. Like, really? I got to go out on that thing again? They blast their way into the building and stuff, and they come to find out that they are not in a normal military kind of installation here. This is a laboratory. And they see some weird floating in the water motherfuckers in the walls. Now, what's your theories about what that was?
An homage to Independence Day.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it was. Yeah, that's another. Yeah,
It's funny.
I didn't even think about that.
Oh.
I think that they're trying to create some kind of super soldier using the DNA of the child, which is kind of foreshadowed, I believe, at the very end of the episode.
Mm-hmm.
So I think those are connected.
I was seeing something that connects this scene
Yeah,
to the second set of trilogies.
yeah,
Okay.
the sequels,
The
right?
sequels,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I think I'm
Where
on track with you.
Yeah, where one of them looked an awful lot like Snoke.
Yeah,
Oh.
exactly.
Almost said Snoke.
Snoke, yeah.
Because he talks, he got put in a clone body and like if you see it when they introduce him, he's got this whole container of more bodies available to him. So I think one of them at least.
Yeah, because the sequels happens after this.
Right.
So this could be like how
He
the
came
Emperor and
'Cause he
stuff
talks
was doing that.
I made Snoke.
Right.
I
So they
see.
literally made Snoke.
Yeah, that Snoke was just a clone, like a clone made with midi-chlorians
Mm-hmm.
and clone body flesh of some sort.
Yep.
It could explain why he's so weird test tube baby looking.
Yeah, because I mentioned that they're hairless,
Yeah. Mhm.
creepy looking people.
Right. So I
Maybe.
think you're both right. I think what they saw in that wall, I definitely think there's some connection to the whole Snoke thing with that. But I also think that there's more to it. Like I think that they are trying to create some kind of super soldiers. But yeah, that was a big reveal. And during that scene is also when after they see the message, the holographic message from Dr. Pershing, they come to realize that Moff Gideon is still alive, which means y'all are in bad danger.
Man is like, I gotta go.
Yeah. And he does too. So they finally
Hauls ass out of there.
He does. He hauls ass out of there. And it was like, and at first I was like a little put off
Yeah, where the fuck's he going?
because he battled his way out of there and never rendezvous with the rest of them. He ends up leaving Kara and Grief and Mithril to basically blast their way out. They come across a badass Imperial troop transport,
Yeah.
which I'm all about. I was like, yeah, when I loved when Mithril was like, man, do you know how much this is worth on the black market?
He's
I'm
like, I do.
Yes, I do.
I was like, I do. I talked about how much that thing is worth on one of my Toyetic episodes, especially if it's the JCPenney exclusive version. So they go and they jump in that and hightail it out of there. I laughed both times. I don't know why. I just thought it was so funny. Both times I watched the episode, I laughed out loud when that transport totally crushed that land speeder.
God, that was amazing.
Especially after Mithril was like earlier was all whiny. He was like, I don't know how I feel about leaving my speeder out here, man. I hope it's gonna be okay. And then later, crush.
He's like, wait, was that my speaker?
Yeah.
Throws him to the floor.
Yep.
That was amazing.
It's like that was just there was some really great humor in this
Yeah,
episode.
so
for
going back a little bit, them
Yes.
blasting their way out. I loved how Mithril, they were like shooting their way out and everything was done. He kind of pops out. He's like, oh, it's over? Okay, I'm going to run now.
Yeah, dude, you're hiding the whole time, and every now and then you're just popping your head up and you're like shooting one shot, random
Nothing,
shot,
yeah.
and doing nothing. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
that was great.
Or whenever Cara Dune goes and gets the transporter and turn it
Yeah.
on, or they're shooting and he pops up.
Yeah,
Again,
he
pops
keeps
up
like
again.
just popping up and down, up and down.
I was dying.
Like a
It was
whack-a-mole.
So funny, yeah.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, I loved him in this.
Yeah. And then probably my favorite sequence in the whole episode is then that very Last Crusade whole thing where they're being pursued by the biker scouts and then later the TIE fighters
That was pretty
through
cool.
that canyon in that troop
so
transport.
intense.
Yeah. So like that whole sequence, I was like, ooh, like, yeah, I like this.
I love seeing them take off because they like collapse their
The
side
wings,
panels, and
that's
then that was awesome.
Yeah.
That is super awesome. Yeah, that sequence was extremely tense, very intense. You think that I love the fact that you think like, oh,
It's
they got
over.
away,
They got away, yep.
and then it gets
nope.
even worse.
Cara Dune like hears it. She's like, oh, fuck, I know what
Yeah.
that is.
And the whole time I'm watching it going, I'm like, well, I'm expecting like Mando's going to come in the canyon and like up behind him and stuff, but he doesn't. And I'm just like, what the fuck? Where did this guy go? And then finally, literally at the last moment, here comes Mando, not only him, but in the Razor Crest with the child. The child is having a ball.
Yeah.
He's got his arms up
Yeah,
in the
it's
air and
awesome.
he's like, woo! Yeehaw! Right? Pulling a Megan, woo! Right? Your thing.
Another throwback to Independence Day,
Yeah.
actually.
Yes, exactly. So, and again, at first I was like, oh, well, that's cool that he went and got the Razor Crest, but like, man, you really left a lot to chance there by leaving them, trusting that they'd be okay. But the more I thought about it,
Well, they did tell him, "Hey, listen, jetpack out of here because you're quicker, and we'll just rendezvous." With
yeah,
you
well,
later
he
or
waited till the
whatever.
last minute to
Yeah, he did.
rendezvous. But the more I thought about it, I realized that it made sense for him to do that because I think as soon as he heard about Moff Gideon, he was like, I got to get the fuck out of here and go get the child.
Yeah.
I think that was his number one thing.
Mhm.
It's like, I have to go get the child. He is not safe, not even eating cookies in that school. I got to go pick him up. So I kind of was like, oh, okay, I get it. He had to go back and because even that too, I was like, why would he have the child with him to go into this battle? I'm like, but it was because he was like, I'm
Child's
saving
number one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's like, I'm saving your asses, and I got to get the hell out of
Yeah.
Dodge. Which is exactly what he did.
Mhm.
That scene at the end when he's coming up in the Razor Crest against that last TIE fighter, man, and they're just
fucking touring in.
nose to
Yeah.
nose, man. And that what a beautiful scene that is. It's so well done. That's what I'm saying. In a TV show, they're doing stuff in this show that just outdoes things they've ever done in the movies.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Wow. I mean, I expected and hoped The Mandalorian was going to be really cool. I expected it was going to be great. I didn't expect it to be like, this
Amazing.
is like the new standard
Right.
for Star Wars. Like, if they ever do another movie, like, they're really going to have to work hard to try and upstage this or match it. So, I mean, if they do ever decide to do a movie, whether it's a Mandalorian movie or just another Star Wars movie, like an actual theatrical movie thing, which I'm sure they're going to do, they really better step up their game and understand that they can't just throw out some Ryan Johnson bullshit. I like Ryan Johnson. I have nothing against Ryan Johnson, but it just that wasn't Star Wars enough for most people. They got to make it more like this, man.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed the Mandalorian show more than I enjoyed the
The
three newest movies that we went to go see.
Yeah,
you know?
I agree. Now I get why people said this isn't Star Wars.
When they were watching
Now
the
I
sequels,
get it.
you
Yeah.
mean. Yeah, right.
I mean, I still enjoyed them.
Yeah, they were cool, but they weren't
Mhm.
this
They weren't
cool.
this. Yeah,
Absolutely.
I get it now.
Well, and the other thing that's really cool about The Mandalorian, I brought this up in the last episode too, because in the last episode there was so much referencing for the animated series.
Yeah.
Rebels, especially Clone Wars and all that stuff. And it's bringing that now more tightly into the live action universe. And now if we're right about things like the Snoke theory and all that and where it's going with that, I feel like now this may be tying in a little bit more tightly the sequels, the whole Force Awakens series, I call it,
Right.
the J.J. Abrams series. I feel like in some ways that was like both too far removed and too oddly connected. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? Like to suddenly have people seeing Leia and Han and Luke and these characters and being so old and so different and so kind of not that important, I guess, was really jarring for a lot of old fans that were like, oh, you give us like Han and Leia and stuff, but this is what we get. Like you give us Luke and he's acting like that. Plus then you're giving us these new characters, but you're not really investing in them either the way you ought to be. I mean, Finn, they screwed Finn, bad. Poe Dameron, like they had
Yeah.
created all these great characters and then you just kind of, sort of just flopped it limply on the table, like plump. But I mean, hopefully, maybe this series will help to sort of tighten it all up a little bit. Here's your opportunity to make something a little bit more cohesive out of it.
Right, bridge it all together.
I mean, they exist, but at best, what hopefully they'll do is, like I said, maybe with these series, these shows, they can go, all right, let's introduce some more backstory elements and things that then if people go and watch The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi and stuff, they
They might understand it.
Right. And it might go, oh, okay, cool. Like, I totally get why that happened or why that character exists the way he does because I saw on The Mandalorian when he started out like this or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, hopefully that's what we get out of this. And I mean, and there's still so many things to be explained. Ahsoka Tano is still coming yet.
Yeah.
The Jedi that Mando is looking for. Boba Fett is still a force to be reckoned with because we're all basically under the impression that that's Boba Fett. He's coming back. You know, I got the man right here. Boba Fett is coming back. So I'm really curious to see where it goes. Meanwhile, I mean, where do you guys see it going in the next episode?
I have no idea. You're going to have to explain to me these soldiers.
Well, we leave off on the very, very last scene when we see Moff Gideon is standing there in a hallway with a bunch of troopers that I believe are supposed to be dark troopers. Now, dark troopers exist in the Star Wars canon, and they're fucking cool, man.
See, I was calling them death troopers in my head.
Well, but there are death troopers.
Oh, okay.
There's shadow troopers. There's troopers of it. There's fucking pooper troopers. There's every kind of thing you could put before trooper. They have, you know, super duper pooper troopers. I'll say that 5 times fast. There's all kinds. There is like death troopers and shadow troopers and all that kind of stuff. Sand troopers, you know. But yeah, I believe these are supposed to be these dark trooper guys. Okay. And they're like super soldiers. They're like genetically enhanced super soldier kind of things. But the question is, so again, it's always the art of misdirection. I know they have these, if they are dark troopers and everything, they have those in there. That isn't necessarily what that place was all about. Like if people are going, oh yeah, they want the child's DNA and stuff so they can make all these dark troopers. And it's like, no, not necessarily.
Yeah, I didn't get that. I didn't put that together. I just thought these were troopers that would go in and be like
badass.
Like bulldozers.
Yes, that's exactly what dark troopers are.
And make room for these clone Jedi fucks.
Yeah.
It's going to come fuck everything up. That's how I interpreted it.
Some clone Jedi fuckery. Yeah, exactly. And that's what I think it is. I think that it's too, I think that facility is just a place where they just make all sorts of
bodies.
Yeah, exactly. they make dark troopers there. They make big old boss baby head Snoke clones there floating in the water and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I think they do that, but I am pretty excited to see dark troopers in the live because that's more like an animated and comic booky thing, know, those dark troopers. And I thought it was interesting, the whole thing with the X-Wing officer sort of kind of saying to Cara Dune, like, we could really use you, you know, we could use your help. And, you know, I fought on Alderaan too. And like, I'm curious to see where that's going, you know?
Yeah. Because, I was going to ask you about that as well, because, again, I may have this completely mixed up like I do everything else, but he was saying like the outer rim and stuff like that, and the core planets aren't taking it really seriously and everything. But isn't it in the beginning of the one movie, they get obliterated because they didn't take it seriously?
Well, I mean, yeah.
Of the new sequels?
Yeah, I mean, the thing about the outer rim planets is they're, like I've said before, people always assume that everything in the Star Wars universe, all the different planets, like they're all like right next to each other, you know, kind of like Kansas and Arkansas and Texas. And it's not like that. Mm-hmm. The outer rim planets are very far removed. So that's why it's not unheard of for people on Tatooine or any of these other planets to have no clue about a Jedi or no clue what the child is, because you know, where you're sitting there going, wait a minute, Yoda was like the most famous Jedi of them all, and he served on the council, and it was, you know, everybody on Coruscant and Alderaan and all this stuff knows who Yoda is. Well, that's very far removed from these planets. So I think that the problem is like, yeah, there's a lot of denial. There's a lot of like separatist mindset amongst the people on the Outer Rim, where they're just sort of like, well, like Grief Karga says early in the episode, is saying that, you know, the Republic needs to just stop worrying about what's going on and keep their nose out of our business out of here. We're so remote, you know.
Same thing happens on this planet. We're only 1,000 miles away from people that think like that too. So it's like, it's not
right
that far removed to believe that would happen in the solar
it's
system.
Not at all. Absolutely. So yeah,
I was just wondering if it was like a foreshadowing of what's to come.
Absolutely.
When these new movies come out.
Absolutely.
Sequels.
Well, absolutely,
Like, they
because
didn't take it seriously, so then they were really surprised when shit showed up.
well, and I mean, for example, everybody right now in these outer rim planets especially are sort of still basking in the afterglow of the fall of Vader and the Emperor. You know, this is only several years after the end of the second Death Star. So they think like, oh, we're all good. Yeah, there's some little asshole factions of Imperial remnant stormtroopers and Moffs and stuff running around trying to still boss us around, but fuck them, you know, they're not a big threat. Not understanding what's actually being
Going
built up, that we now find out by the time The Force Awakens starts, like they're a serious threat again. Maybe worse than they were the first time, you know? So yeah. And that's why I'm saying, I think that we're going to get a lot of tying together, bridging that gap between Force Awakens and Return of the Jedi, and then bringing in the influence from Clone Wars, Rebels, all that stuff. And man, knock on wood, if Mandalorian continues the way it's continuing, it's going to be beautiful. Like it could really, really just have it all equally make sense and be important.
Yeah, that'd be pretty epic.
Is it possible that this Moff Gideon guy could have? Do you know how like long he's been in the Imperial squad?
Don't know anything about him.
Because what if there was like a separate section, kind of like Hydra, where they're still operating under the guise that this new regime isn't going to last forever? So what if we start our own thing underneath? So by the time that they fall, we can come in and take power, utilizing some of the resources that they already have in place, you know?
Right. Well, I think that's kind of the idea. I mean, we even get that in The Force Awakens when you're supposed to be thinking that, like, yeah, it's like different people that are trying to bring back the glory of the Empire and all that kind of stuff. But you get the impression like they don't even they don't know that the Emperor is still around and pulling the strings, you know? That's why there's like some people that are very much following behind Kylo Ren, but then there's a bunch of them that are like, this guy's a chump. We're going to do like our own thing. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think that we're going to get more answers. I definitely think Moff Gideon is working closely more in conjunction with the Emperor. Maybe we'll find out, because we never really get explained where the hell the Emperor had been all that time. Like, oh, he survived. Okay. Oh, he's been building up all this army of, more of these clones and various things, and the Knights of Ren and all this. Like, where did this come from? So I really do hope that they touch at least enough on this in The Mandalorian to have it all tie together. That would be great. It won't necessarily make you love the sequels anymore, but at least it would be nice to have it all just tie together a lot more nicely in the same context that for a lot of people, the Clone Wars and Rebels TV shows have made some people appreciate the prequels a lot more. A lot of people didn't appreciate the prequels that much until they watched those shows, and then they were like, oh, okay, yeah, like I really get the whole thing about the clones and stuff now, and the buildup of stuff. It doesn't feel as abrupt and weird and kooky anymore and everything. Some people I know, like I said, like our buddy Mike, that's like his favorite stuff now, is that Clone Wars Rebels type stuff, Yeah. So hopefully Mandalorian is going to do the same thing. Time will tell. Her favorite saying. And on that, I think that's it. We will be back to talk about chapter 13. I don't think we even know
Bankruptcy.
the title.
Every time, Vito.
Oh
Every time.
my gosh.
It's Peter Francis DeRacy, man. He's like ingrained in my head. I can't get away from those info tapes.
Oh man, here we go with more infomercials.
Dial up 222 2222.
222 22.
Yeah, exactly. Just call up our drummer. He's a paralegal. He'll help you out. Gary's going to be our drummer. Gary's going to be like, please don't mention me at all, because he hates Star Wars. But all right, folks, we will be back soon. We hope everybody's doing well and having, a safe holiday if you're in areas where these holidays are happening or whatever. End of the year. We're trying to get to the end of the year. I know 2021 isn't
so
looking
close.
isn't looking great either, but we just still need to turn that corner. So-
Baby steps.
Yeah. Exact. Baby child's. Just baby Yoda steps. Yeah. And just hopefully we don't vomit all over ourselves like the child.
Just finish the year eating everything possible.
Yeah. And then get spun around like Mando did to him.
And
Barf
throw
it all
everywhere.
up. Yep. Yeah, exactly. So anyway, all right. See you, everybody.
Adios.